Alright, so today we're checking out this massive figure from McFarlane Toys. This is the DC Multiverse Bane figure. This thing retails for 40 bucks, and he's pretty massive. I mean, as you can see, I can't really fit him in frame. I'm really excited for this release. I don't really get DC McFarlane figures all too often, but when there's something that looks as dope as this, then I kind of have to get it. So to at least check it out. So that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna check it out, see if it's worth it, see if it's any good, and I'll let you know. And the back of the box has this real awesome image of Bane. Listen, I know McFarlane gets a lot of flack. They get a lot of hate. But what McFarlane does good, what he does very well, is paint and sculpt. First impressions on this figure, the paint and the sculpt are the best aspects of the figure for sure. Now, McFarlane doesn't always get articulation right, but he is definitely in a better spot today than he has ever been in his career for toys, for McFarlane Toys, because we all know McFarlane Toys before versus how they are now. At one point, we would barely get a single jointed elbow or a single jointed knee or anything for that matter. I mean, it was just some dark times for McFarlane in terms of articulation. They've always been very good with paint and sculpt. That's never really changed still. So this figure comes with only a base and a card. No accessories. That's probably going to be my first gripe. But taking a look at the card, McFarlane has been including little trading cards lately. This is the same art that is on the back side of the box. We get a little read up here on the card too, in case you want to pause the video and read it. And then we have this base, which is the same size base as the regular standard size figures. Really, he doesn't need it because he is so big. His feet are so big. He can stand on his own, but in case you want some extra insurance, if he's high on a shelf somewhere, then maybe give him a base on one foot and he'll probably stay still. He won't fall over. But the figure, he's so tall, he's so big that he is standing all the way in the back of my diorama. He stands at exactly 9 inches to the top of his head. Now, if you count the little tubes on his head, it does raise up all the way to maybe 10 inches tall. So there's an idea of how big he is. And another idea would be how he looks in my hand, and there you go. He's pretty beefy, he's very heavy, he's got some weight, he is awesome. I mean, he feels great, he feels like Bane. Taking a closer look at the figure, you can see some texturing on the mask and all over the body, to be honest. His little harness piece has some nice texturing and paint. As you can see, every aspect of this figure is painted, even his skin. This is something McFarlane does so well. And one of the only few companies out there that still paints their body molds. So that's cool to see. Now, he doesn't do it with everything, but when he does do it, it's actually pretty cool to see because you just don't always see it anymore. We get these tubes here that are painted green, very cool. Down to the hands, you see all the texturing and detail at the waist, down to the knees and the boots here. Even the laces are painted. On the back side, awesome sculpt and detail work. Here's the tank on the back. Texturing. These little tubes are soft, pliable pieces of plastic. I would still be careful though so they don't rip off. So there's a closer look at the figure. Now, as I mentioned earlier, he doesn't come with any accessories for himself. So that is a bummer. I do wish he at least came with a pair of hands, like a pair of fists. That would be cool so he can punch Batman or punch somebody instead of just having open hands only. That would probably be the only thing I would really ask for. I don't think I would ask for an alternate head or something like that. So alternate hands would have been sweet, but unfortunately we do not get it included. So that would be a gripe of mine. As for his articulation, the head is limited. It doesn't really move up too much. You can see it does have some movement, but really nothing significant. He can look down though, which is important because he is a really big character, so he should be looking down on characters that are very much shorter than him. Left and right, no problem. And what's also important here is that because of these tubes are so pliable and so soft, you can move the head freely without any hindering at all. I mean, no issues at all. It's not like the tubes pull his head back into place or anything. You could really pose it wherever you want and it's not going to warp or mess up the tubes or anything, so that's cool. My only worry would be the paint chipping off maybe or peeling off over time. Hopefully that does not happen, but only time will tell. So overall, the head is as I expected it to be. I didn't really expect it to be super mobile, but you can move it quite a bit, to be honest, and you can get some head tilting out of it, which is always welcomed by me. The arms will go all the way up, they go down, they do go in and out, pretty far out, all the way out, to be honest. Now, he does have no bicep swivels. That's unfortunate. I wish he did have it, but he does not. only single jointed elbows, which is okay. I didn't expect double jointed elbows. When you're this beefy and this muscular, double jointed elbows don't really work because it just doesn't look natural, it doesn't look good. So I understand the single jointed elbows here, and I don't really expect somebody with biceps as big as my head or two of my heads to be able to touch his forearm with his bicep. It's not possible. So this makes sense. It looks better for the figure, so I'm okay with it. We do get wrist swivels and a hinge at the wrist. As for the torso, there is no torso articulation, so that's another, I guess, topic of conversation. Do you want an ab crunch in this figure? Do you want a diaphragm joint? Maybe a diaphragm joint would have worked here. I don't know. He's got a lot of stuff going on here. Thinking the way Todd thinks, I could already see that he didn't want to break up any of this design, and he would rather have no articulation on the torso. So I don't see myself putting Bane in any kneeling poses or crunching over poses or anything like that, but it's still cool to have at the very least, a diaphragm joint. But I must say, it still looks pretty okay, and he does have a ball joint at the waist, so this is I guess the next best thing, because you can still sort of kind of crunch him forward. You can swivel him and tilt him pretty good. I mean, I didn't expect that. I thought we were just going to get a straight waist swivel and that's it, and he would have looked super stiff. But yeah, at least you can get a little bit of some motion there. He has the soft diaper type of groin area, so when you kick the legs forward, it does stretch it out, so it doesn't really hinder it too much. So that's pretty cool. I'm fine with that. It does kick down, in and out, goes all the way out, full split, which is nuts. You can see the articulation inside there. Now it is like a ratchet joint, as you hear it. So that is, of course, to support his weight, so that's cool. As for the thigh, no thigh swivel, really, there is no thigh swivel there. Legs are double jointed though, so that's awesome. Very stiff, and they are ratchet joints too, in case you were curious. And then the ankles hinge forward and back, they do rock. There is no swivel, but we do get a toe hinge. So like I said, this is something we would never have seen from McFarlane a couple years ago. Toe hinges, ankle rockers, really? Yeah, that was not him. So whoever is on his team convincing him to do articulation right, you know, I'm grateful for that. And I know us fans, us collectors really had a voice. We really told him what we thought about it, and he has been upgrading his articulation in his figure. So overall, articulation on the figure, I'm pretty happy with it. He can do everything that I would want him to. Of course, I would prefer a diaphragm joint, but overall, he is pretty damn good for such a big, beefy figure like this. So really, the only other DC Multiverse McFarlane figure I have is this Robert Pattinson Batman that has the error of the cow on his neck there, but you can see the height difference here between these two figures. As you know, the scaling for DC Multiverse McFarlane is about 7 inches, 7 to 8. Let's see exactly what Batman stands here. He's about 7.5 inches tall, so pretty big scale. It's not your regular 1/12 scale for sure, but as big as Batman is, he has got nothing on Bane here. So I really love the height here. I think Bane is this big next to Batman, and I think that looks good. I know this isn't Bane from the movie. There is no Bane from the movie of Robert Pattinson, but, you know, it's my only DC McFarlane figure I can compare him next to, so I'm going to do it with him. And there you go. I think that looks pretty good. You guys let me know what you guys think. So overall, this figure is actually pretty good. I think McFarlane every once in a while has a hidden gem, an underrated figure, and this is definitely one of those in my opinion. I know McFarlane gets a lot of hate, and a lot of it is justified, but every once in a while he does produce something that is really cool, really nice, and people tend to overlook it. And I think you should look at everything he puts out and really give it a chance before just assuming everything he makes is garbage or something, you know, because he does make some pretty good stuff. All in all, I'm really happy with this Bane. It's something that I didn't expect to like this much. Hopefully he continues to make stuff as good as this. I just hope he, you know, fixes a few things here and there. I think a bicep swivel would really had helped this figure out a little bit in terms of like posing him up. He does have an elbow swivel. I forgot to mention that. I didn't really see that, but his elbow does swivel, but still it's not really natural. And an alternate set of hands, and this thing would have been a little bit better than what it already is. So let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section, and hit the like button while you're down there. Consider subscribing if you haven't done so already, and as always, take care, take it easy, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye.